Greetings, YouTube. Yeah, I've warped way back into the WGS Arcade, and we're back with more Boob Tenshi. And on the last episode, Chronotech managed to suck Kenji through the time window. So right now, we're in a bit of state of shock because we have no idea what effects traveling through time will have on the male body. It's very obvious what happens with the female body, and it's a very nice thing to look at. But we have no idea what's going to happen to Kenji. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going to happen. It had been several hours since I went through the time window. Grandpa had immediately taken me into the experimental lab and looked over me until the effects of the time window had worn off for the other girls. They walked in and began their observations. It doesn't seem like anything out of the ordinary has occurred with him. From what I've been able to gather, he's just fine. Heart rate is normal, brain waves are still functioning the correct wavelength, endocrine system hasn't fluctuated, both his estrogen and testosterone levels are completely normal. It's as if he didn't go through the time window at all. Could it be that men aren't affected by the time window? It's a distinct possibility, but I don't have enough evidence to say either way. One trip doesn't justify everything after all. Well, we'll just have to keep an eye on Kenji in the meantime. I'll be looking over at the time window and making sure nothing like this ever happens again. Got it! I'll stick here with Kenji and monitor his vitals. I feel fine, Kyo, honest. That may be so, Kenji, but we just want to make sure everything is alright. This is new territory we're wading through, and we just need to ensure we're being safe. I said nothing as Tensei looked over me. I could tell there was worry in his face, but also a look of complete confidence. He ushered everyone but Kyo out of the room, closing the door behind him. I laid back on the gurney for a while, several wires attached to various places on my chest and head. Kyo just looked at the monitors intently. Kyo, I swear, I feel fine. Kyo, is there something wrong? Why did you do it, Kenji? What? Why did you go through the time window? Her back was still facing me, looking at the monitors. I was confused, but that confusion swiftly turned to anger. What, you think I just voluntarily walked through the time window like it was some kind of midnight stroll or something? Am I supposed to believe that it just pulled you through? As if it had a mind of its own? I know that sounds crazy, but... Yeah, it does, Kenji. This is a machine. A dangerous one at that, and I don't want to see anyone getting hurt. You could have been seriously injured. You could have seriously injured yourself when you went through the time window, accident or not. She turned to me. She had tears in her eyes, her face scrunched up in sadness and fear. When Michelle contacted Rose and I about you getting sucked through the time window, I thought she was sending us out to find a dead man. As she said those words, a cold silence hung in the air. She shook, tears beginning to stream down her face. Kyo, Kenji, you've only been a part of this team for less than a week, but it's my job, or everyone's job, to protect you. Your grandfather brought you here, knowing how dangerous this environment was, knowing what might happen. But he brought you here because he wanted you to forget about what happened. To forget about my family burning to death? Is that it, Kyo? My words seemed to be a punch to the face for her, as if she had to collect herself before continuing. I'm sorry, Kenji. I really am. I know whenever you're with me, I tend to make you remember instead of helping you forget. I really don't mean to. It's just, I think of how horrible it must have been for something like that to happen. She got closer to me, walking to the side of the gurney and taking my hand. I looked at her, my face going red. For all of the things that have happened to you, the incident, the time window, all of this, you've been so incredibly strong, and me, I'm in a complete mess, and I'm not even the one that it happened to. Kyo. And for that, I feel pathetic. I get too caught up with other people's problems and emotions, and Look at me now, I'm a mess. She let out a mix of a laugh and a sob, squeezing my hand a bit, sniffling as she tried to collect herself. I just hate feeling like this, like I'm inferior somehow. I always felt like this, even before you were here. I felt inferior to Michelle because of how amazing she was at technology, inferior to Rhodes because of her ability to design, and here I am, experimenting with rodents and making test chambers and... I looked at her, squeezing her hand reassuringly before bringing my other hand to her face. This seemed to calm her. Hey, listen to me, Kyo. You're not inferior, okay? You need to focus on the things that you're good at, rather than the things you can't do. Sure, you're no Michelle or Rose, but when you're through the time window and you have a whip in your hand, you're handling yourself so well. The way you took down those two, restraining Bunny the whole time, it was amazing. And look at what you're doing here. Looking over all these vinyls, making sure every single one of them isn't out of the ordinary. That's true. Come on, Kyo, I know you're stronger than this. Start acting like it. These words, while they took her off guard for a moment, seemed to put her in the right direction. She put her hand to her face and wiped away the tears. As she did, she began to remove the wires from my body gingerly with a smile. Your vitals are normal, Kenji. If you feel anything else abnormal with your body within the next 48 hours, then please let me know, okay? I smiled and nodded. As I did, she pulled me towards her in an embrace, and I felt her chest squish against mine. I felt my face go hot as I was locked in a hug for what it seemed like minutes. Suddenly, she pushed herself away, clearing her throat nervously. Her face was a deep shade of red as well. Right, you want to, go hang out for a bit in the entertainment room? Sure. Alright, all set up, ready to play me? Sure, what are we playing? Generic beat-em-up fighter 5 Revenge of the Something about that name is funny. Something about that name is just funny. That sounds really dumb. Yeah, well, it's all we got right now, so take it or leave it. Oh, boy. Sometimes I wish I just had a gamer girlfriend with blue hair, big boobs, won't play in a tight negligee. I'm so lonely. She huffed and looked at me and giggled, handing me the controller. While we played, I noticed that she played a character with a whip, and that her movements mirrored Kyo's quite a bit. And she tended to kick my butt in most of the rounds. And by most, I mean all. Dang, step up your game, Kenji. Hey, you've got the advantage of actually knowing how to play in advance. Fair enough. Say, the character you play as. Fine? What about her? She seemed to have a similar fighting style to yours. Oh, so you figured me out, eh? Yep, I pretty much learned how to fight through this game. What? But how is that possible? I know, but that sounds totally silly. I mean, I practice on my own, too. But I've always loved how delicate yet forceful Vine was when she fought. So I started studying it really closely, taking notes, taking pictures of certain moves. Then I started taking lessons and practicing in my downtime between college courses, and before I knew it, I could use a whip like no one's business. Where did you take lessons? Let's save that story for another day, shall we? I could see her face go red once again before picking up the controller for another round. We played for the rest of the day, laughing and smack-talking until we nearly passed out. Michelle suddenly entered the room around 11 p.m. Alright, you two, it's getting late. Off to bed. One more match. Come on, Michelle. No more matches. Off to bed. We have some research to do tomorrow. We also need to be ready at all times in case Krontag is up to anything. So off to bed, both of you. Man, no fun. Alright, night, Kenji. She tackled me in yet another embrace on the couch and giggled before releasing me, standing and heading towards her room. I stood and did the same, looking over at Michelle before I left, who gave me a quick smirk. Glad you're doing alright, Kenji. I have to say, it's quite a relief. Yeah, same. Thank you, Michelle. For what? If anything, Kyo did all the work today. Yeah, I guess so. Michelle looked at me for a moment before rolling her eyes and pointing towards my room. All right, Romeo, off to bed now. You never know what tomorrow will bring. I know what tomorrow will bring. It'll bring yet another episode. Because we're calling an episode right now. So when we come back to the arcade, we're going to see what other adventures lay in store for Kenji and the others. So with that being said, I am your friendly neighborhood WrestleGamer, and I will see you at the next Warp Zone. Bye, guys! Boobs and an ass. Boobs and an ass. That's all I'm saying. I watched as Rose unsheathed her sword, and not long after, Kyo turned her feather duster into a whip. You're not going to do that to me, mister. No, you are not. I don't care how big you are. I'm telling you, you are not doing that to me. I thought in between sessions that I beat these two guys.